crusty Rubik's Cube on your shelf? One that maybe looks like this, that you haven't touched in 40 years? Well, I did too. Not anymore you won't, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to take your Rubik's Cube from this to this. Using this method, you can get your solves to look like this once you've become more advanced. Cube notation is basically a language for Rubik's cubing. It allows you to know what turns to do when. I'm going to teach you the basics of cube notation today. When you scramble a Rubik's Cube, you should always start with this white piece on top and this green piece in the front. You can use websites like cstimer.net so that your solves are always fair and the scrambles are always equal. A scramble will look something like this. Saw those letters? Look confusing, right? They're pretty easy to learn. First, we have R and R prime. An R move is where you turn the right layer, this one, in my case red, clockwise relative to the centre, which is this piece in the middle. So I'm going to turn the red piece in the centre clockwise. So R, which looks like this, is the right side clockwise. So you're going to turn the right side this way. Now, R prime is represented with R and then a little apostrophe after the letter. This represents anti-clockwise turning. We're going to turn this centre anti-clockwise, which is this way. Next, we're going to move on to the L layer, which is the left side, or my orange. L is turning this centre clockwise, or this way. This would be an L. Turning it anti-clockwise would be an L prime, or L followed by an apostrophe, like this. Now, we move on to U, or the up face, or my white. U works the exact same way as R and L do, where you turn this centre clockwise. So a U would look like this. A U prime would look like this, because you're turning this centre anti-clockwise. Now we're going to move on to the D layer, or my yellow. So to do a D, you turn the yellow centre, in my case, clockwise, or this way. So a D would look like this. And following the exact same principle, turning it anti-clockwise, D prime with a little apostrophe, would look like this. Perfect. Now all we've got left is F and B. F stands for front and B stands for back. So with F, you turn my green, in this case, clockwise. So F would look like this. And F prime, following the same principle, anti-clockwise, like this. Now B is pretty tough, because this is my blue, which you cannot actually see from just turning the cube like this. You have to look all the way up here. However, when you do it, B is turning it clockwise, so this would be B. And B prime with apostrophe would be turning it anti-clockwise, or like this. Please, feel free to go back and repeat any of these moves to make sure they're embedded into your brain. That was cubing notation. So, now we move on to actually solving the cube. But before we do that, we have to scramble the cube. I'm going to leave this to Mr. Seal over here. Boom! That's your favourite part, isn't it, Mr. Seal? So now we have our fully scrambled cube. Now the first step is the white cross. And this is an intuitive step, meaning that it does not contain any algorithms that you need to remember. It is purely just finding a piece and putting it in the correct place. So when we're making the white cross, we're going to look for the piece which is in the middle of the three. So there's one here, and one here. We're looking for this one, because it's in the middle. But what we don't want is this piece, because it does not contain white on either of the two colours it contains. but this piece does. So, to make the white cross, we're going to try and match up white with here, and the colour adjacent to it to its corresponding centre. So in this case, this one here, which we're going to start with, is white and green. So we're going to put it between the white and the green centres, so where this yellow and green piece is currently. Now, we are very lucky here, because this is already attached to the green centre like this. But, if it wasn't, we would want to put it so it's facing up, which is the yellow side, like this. Then, we would want to match it up to its centre, so if it was over here, we would want to move it so that it was attached to green. Then we can simply do an R2, which is 2 rotations of the right side to put it into its place. This is now in the correct place and is a solved edge. Now, next, I'm going to do this blue piece, which is here. So, it is currently facing up, which is very lucky for us, and we're going to attach it to the blue centre, like this. When you have done that, just turn it until the white is facing the bottom, and the blue is like this. So, moving on to the next 2 edges, we have white and orange, and red and white. So, next I think I'm going to do the red and white. So we're going to bring it up to the top layer like this, so we want it to be on this yellow side somewhere. Even if the white piece is not facing up, that is okay. And we're going to turn it so the red is at the front, and this red piece is here. So, to insert this, we can't just put it down like this, because it's flipped. This red bit needs to be here, and this white bit needs to be here. So, bring it back up to the top. When it is like this, you're going to use this algorithm, U prime, to put it here, R prime, F, R. This inserts this red piece very easily without messing up the green or the blue. Moving on to our final piece, which will be another example of what I just taught you. Orange and white. So we're going to move it into the top layer, like this, and then we're going to use the algorithm, U prime, to put it here, then R prime, F, R, to put it in like that. Now, you should have a finished cross, where all of the white pieces make a cross shape, ignore this one, and on the sides, the bottom piece and the middle piece should be the same colour. This is very important. Please ensure that this has been completed. Perfect. Now we've made the white cross. The next step is the white corners. To do this, we're going to use one very simple algorithm, which you can learn very easily. The way we determine where each white corner goes is with the other 2 colours that are on the corner. So for example, this piece here has white, blue, and red on it, which makes it a corner piece because it has 3 colours. Therefore, it would go between the white, blue, and red centre. These 3, which means it would go here, or where this white, orange, and blue currently is. And to insert it, without messing up the cross that we've already done, we are going to use this algorithm. All we need is for the piece to be either here or here. It does not matter which way the white is facing. It could be here, here, or here, 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 or here. And you would just do the same algorithm until the white is in its place. So the algorithm goes R, U, R prime, U prime. So since this is not quite in the right place, we're going to continue this as many times as it needs for it to be facing down, so that it makes a little square of these 4 pieces. So R, U, R prime, U prime. Did that do it? No, it did not. R, U, R prime, U prime. Check again. R, U, R prime, U prime. Nope. R, U, R prime, U prime. Ah! This time, our piece is in the correct slot, between the blue and red and white centres. We're going to repeat this with the remaining pieces. We next have the red, green and white piece, which is here. Now, it is not above the slot where it needs to go, but in the slot. But as you can tell, this white piece needs to be facing here. This is okay, because we can just repeat the same algorithm that we've already learned. Just repeat it until it's facing down. So, R, U, R prime, U prime. Not quite that time. R, U, R prime, U prime. Ah, it's in this time. Perfect. Next, let's move on to the green, orange and white corner. But it's in this slot. It needs to be up here or in here. To fix this, we can just do our learned algorithm once, which goes R, U, R prime, U prime. As you can see, this piece is now in the top layer, where the yellow piece is. So we can then repeat what we've already learned, put this above where it needs to go between the green, orange and white centre pieces, and do our algorithm as many times as we need. And it seems that one has done it just fine. Now we have the white face, and also the white layer. We can make sure this is correct by seeing if there is a direct line all the way around the base of where the white is. In this case, we have done it correctly. Step 3. Putting the edges in. Now we have created the white layer, we need to put the edges for the first 2 layers in. To ensure that you have the right piece, the piece must not contain yellow. So, are we going to use this piece? No, we're not, because it has yellow and orange. We need one without yellow. However, this piece here has red and green, which is perfect, exactly what we're looking for, and it can go in the first 2 layers. In this example, it would go between the red and green centre because it has red and green on it. So, how do we get it into here without messing up what we've already done so far? It's very simple. It's just another algorithm. Since this piece has red and green on, we need to make sure that the piece in the front matches up with the centre below it. It does not have red at the front, so we move it so that green is matching up with green here. It needs to go on the left, and we have the correct colour in front. So we would do this algorithm. U prime, L prime, U, L. Then you rotate so that the white is facing you. Then U, R, U prime, R prime. This puts this pair, as we call it, into the correct slot. Next, I'm going to do the green and orange edge. However, this green piece does not match up with this orange piece, so we need to move it so that green is matching up. This piece is matching up correctly, but needs to go in the right-hand side now, which requires another algorithm. This algorithm goes U, R, U prime, R prime, and we rotate so that white is facing us. U prime, L prime, U, L. Perfect. Now we have completed these 2 pairs of pieces. Now we shall move on to the final 2, and I am going to choose to do the orange and blue next. However, it is not in the correct place, and we can't get it out without messing this up, right? That is incorrect. What we can actually do is just replace this piece with one that doesn't belong in there. For example, this yellow and orange piece has yellow on, so we know that it goes up here somewhere. So we should replace this with this one, using our algorithm. U, R, U prime, R prime. Rotate so that white is facing us. U prime, L prime, U, L. And this puts this piece in here, whilst taking out this simultaneously. So now we have this piece in the top, which means that we can put it in just like any other piece. Occasionally, when you are solving your cube, you will encounter this, which is where this piece is in the correct place, but it is not orientated correctly. How do we flip this over? Well, it's just the same as there being an incorrect piece in that slot. So we replace it with one that has yellow on, using our algorithm. U, R, U prime, R prime, rotate so that white is facing us. U prime, L prime, U, L. Excellent. So now the piece is out, we can just put it back in, using our other algorithm from earlier. So now, we have the first 2 layers fully completed. When you reach the final layer of the cube, or the yellow side, the first thing you want to do is to put all of the yellow edges facing upwards. To do this, you're going to use an algorithm. If your cube looks like this, and none of the edges are currently facing upwards, do this algorithm from any position on the cube, but make sure yellow is facing upwards. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. Now we have 2 of the 4 edges facing upwards. Now we're going to do another algorithm, which will make all of the edges face upwards. When you have 2 of the edges like this, which is one here, creating a little L shape like this, you're going to put that L shape, one in the back and one on the left. You're going to do the same algorithm as we did just now. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. Now you have it looking something like this, with an edge on the left and an edge on the right. It could look like this, where you have an edge on the front and the back. Make sure to rotate or turn the cube so that it's going horizontally across rather than vertically. Now, we do that one more time with it horizontally. All 4 edges are facing upwards. Please, if that was overwhelming, feel free to go back using the timestamps below. Our next step is to put all of the edges in the correct place. So this edge has green on it and is matched up with green. This edge has orange on it and is matched up with orange. This edge has red, but it has blue. And this edge has blue, but it's matched up with red. This is incorrect, and we use an algorithm to fix this. When your cube looks like this, and 2 of the pieces are at an L shape, solved together, and these 2 are not, you put the solved ones on the right and in the back, and you do this new algorithm. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. You might need to twizzle it around a bit to get it so that they are all solved, but that should have done it. If it didn't, put the pieces back in the right and the back and do that algorithm again until it looks like this. Now, if your cube looks like this, where 2 of the edges opposite each other are solved, rather than 2 of the edges an L shape or adjacent to each other are solved, just do this algorithm again from anywhere. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. This should put it in a position where 2 of the pieces are solvable adjacent to each other. In my case, orange and blue are now adjacent to each other, and I can repeat the algorithm with them in the right and the back, so that all of the edges are put in their correct place. The next step is putting the corners in the right places, but not necessarily making them face the right direction. What this means is this example here. This piece is in the correct place, and we can tell because around it is the green, red and yellow centre, and on this piece is yellow, green and red, which are all the correct colours. But the piece needs to be facing upwards, so the yellow needs to be here rather than down here. So, before we orientate it to put it correctly facing upwards, we need to make sure that all of these pieces are correctly permutated. So, we check this one. This one has green, red, yellow between the green, red, yellow centre. This one has green, orange, yellow, but it's between the yellow, blue and red centre. This is not correct. To fix this, put the piece that is correctly permutated in the front right and do this new algorithm. U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L. Now in this case, all of the pieces have been correctly put in the right spot. Sometimes this might not work the first time, and you will have to repeat the algorithm with this piece in the front right spot, the one that is correctly orientated. Now, in some cases, like which I've set up here, you will have no pieces in the correct place, or none of them have been permutated correctly. Again, we can just do the algorithm we've just learned from literally anywhere on the cube, making sure that yellow is facing up. U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L. Which should put one of them in the correct place. In this case, it's the yellow, orange, blue between the yellow, orange, blue centres. So again, we hold this in the front right and do our algorithm. U, R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L. Congratulations, we're now on the final step. To finish off, we're going to flip our cube upside down so that white is on the top. You hold the piece that is incorrectly orientated, or the one that isn't solved, on the bottom at the right, here. And then you do the algorithm that we learned earlier until the yellow is facing downwards. Please do not worry if your cube looks like it has scrambled itself. So we do R, U, R prime, U prime. Oh no, it's scrambled. But that's okay. As long as these 4 pieces stay the exact same, then you are doing a good job. R, U, R prime, U prime. That hasn't quite done it, so I'm going to continue. R, U, R prime, U prime. Almost there, just one more time. R, U, R prime, U prime. So now this piece is correctly solved, but the rest of it is messed up. However, these 4 pieces are still the same. We keep it at the same place. In my example, blue was at the front and white was on the top. And then we move the D layer until our other unsolved piece or pieces are in the bottom right. And then we can repeat this algorithm until it is facing downwards. U, R prime, U prime. R, U, R prime, U prime. Oh look, it's correctly facing downwards. And the rest is solved. Now, all you need to do is put your 3 brain cells together and solve the cube.